Hey everybody, welcome to another deep dive. You ready to uncover some hidden truths about everyday life?
Always ready?
Well, today we've got this source. It's called Unveiling the Truth, the Hidden Secrets of Everyday Life.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing.
Right. And it's got all this stuff that I think is going to kind of blow our minds a little bit.
I'm excited.
We're talking about how our phones are messing with our brains, and the hidden calorie bombs that are in our diets,
Hmm.
and how much time we waste just getting to work.
All those little things we never think about.
Yeah. I mean, just the idea of seeing your daily routine in a whole new light.
Definitely.
So, first up, I think we got to talk about something that we are all guilty of.
Oh.
Smartphones.
Oh, boy.
Right.
Yeah.
The source says the average person checks their phone over 100 times a day.
100.
100.
Wow.
Over 100 times a day. Honestly, when I read that, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
is that me? Am I
Yeah,
really that hooked?
It is kind of a staggering statistic when you think about it. I mean, it really makes you realize the hold these devices have on us.
Totally.
It's not even just about convenience anymore.
Right.
It's like a deeper psychological pull at play, you know? We're all constantly just seeking that next notification.
Oh, totally. That little dopamine hit.
Exactly. That tells us, you're connected, you're in the loop, but here's the problem.
Okay.
All that multitasking and flitting between apps
Uh-huh.
is actually making us less productive.
Really?
The source says we're losing up to 40% of our productivity because of it.
40%.
40%.
That's like throwing away half a workday.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
No wonder we all feel so busy all the time.
Right.
Yet somehow nothing ever seems to get done.
And that's why I feel like I'm constantly on.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of why, digital addiction is becoming such a widespread concern.
Oh, absolutely.
While it's not officially recognized as a disorder everywhere, you can see the symptoms, all around us.
Totally.
That anxiety when you're away from your phone,
Yeah.
the phantom vibration. Yes.
The sleep disruptions.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So it's definitely something to be mindful of.
Definitely.
Okay. Let's shift gears for a sec.
Okay.
From our digital diets to
To our actual diet.
our actual diets, the food we eat.
What we're putting in our bodies.
This one blew my mind. Okay. The average American consumes over 3,600 calories a day.
3,600.
That just seems
Wow.
excessive,
It is a lot.
right?
It's significantly higher than the recommended intake. And, the overconsumption, it's reflected in some pretty alarming global health trends.
Yeah.
Obesity has nearly tripled since 1975, according to the World Health Organization.
Wow.
And it's linked to, a whole host of serious health risks, heart disease, diabetes, certain cancers.
It's not just about weight then.
No, it's about
It's about our overall well-being.
well-being.
Right.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
really
good.
makes you think twice about, those little indulgences, that
Yeah, it's
extra cookie or,
A larger portion size.
Yeah, it all adds up. So what are some things we can do, like some small changes we could make in our daily routines to maybe avoid falling into this trap?
I think it's not necessarily about deprivation.
Okay.
It's about being more conscious of what we're consuming.
Okay.
For example, could you swap that sugary drink for water a couple times a week? Or, maybe choose a slightly smaller portion at dinner?
Oh, yeah.
These little shifts might seem insignificant in the moment,
Wait.
but they can make a big impact on our health in the long run.
Small changes? Yeah. Big impact. I like that. Okay, now let's talk about something that I think we all dread.
What's that?
The daily commute.
Oh, the commute.
I feel like I'm constantly wasting so much time stuck in traffic.
And you're not wrong. The source says the average person spends over 200 hours a year commuting.
200 hours.
That's like working another job.
But without the paycheck.
Exactly.
Yeah. And don't even get me started on the stress.
Oh, yeah.
Traffic jams are just,
Of course.
they're notorious for ruining moods. And turning even the calmest person into a raging road warrior.
It's true. And, that stress isn't just a personal annoyance.
Yeah.
It has real economic and environmental costs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, think about the lost productivity from all those hours stuck in traffic, the fuel wasted idling, the pollution pumped into the air.
Right.
The source mentions that traffic congestion costs the global economy over $1 trillion annually.
$1 trillion?
$1 trillion.
That's just mind-blowing. It really puts things in perspective.
It does, and it highlights the interconnectedness of these seemingly mundane aspects of our lives, you know?
Okay.
Like the stress from your commute can spill over into your evening, affecting your sleep, your relationships, even your performance at work the next day. It's a
Yeah.
ripple effect.
Speaking of sleep, this section of the source was a bit of a wake-up call.
Oh,
No pun intended.
okay.
Apparently, almost a third of adults aren't getting enough sleep.
A third.
Yeah,
Wow, that is a lot of people.
I know. And it's a bigger deal than I thought.
Yeah.
The source is talking about, like, increased risk of heart disease, diabetes,
Oh, wow.
depression,
Mm-hmm.
even a 12% higher risk of death.
That's scary.
I know. It makes you realize that we really underestimate the power of a good night's sleep.
We do. Sleep is not a luxury.
Right.
It's a fundamental need, just like eating and drinking water.
Okay.
It's essential for our physical and mental well-being.
Right.
And yet, in today's always-on world, it's often the first thing we sacrifice.
So true. We stay up late,
Working,
binge-watching shows.
scrolling through our phones, all at the expense of our sleep.
Yeah, it's like we're slowly sabotaging ourselves.
We are, and we need to recognize that. We need to start prioritizing sleep.
Yeah.
Like it's a non-negotiable part of our routine.
Make time for it.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to something that feels particularly relevant in today's world.
Okay.
News consumption.
Whoa.
We're just bombarded with information from all sides,
constantly.
especially online, and it can feel impossible to sort through it all. Yeah, and that's exactly why misinformation spreads so easily.
Really?
The source points out that false information is actually 70% more likely to be retweeted than truthful information.
Wow.
It's partly because it often plays on our emotions,
Oh.
triggering outrage or fear,
Oh.
which makes us more likely to share it without really thinking critically.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah.
It makes you realize how easily we can become participants in spreading misinformation,
Right.
especially when it, confirms our existing biases.
Exactly. It's more important than ever to be critical consumers of information.
So true.
We need to be wary of anything that seems too sensational or emotionally charged.
Okay.
Check your sources, look for corroboration from reputable outlets, and don't be afraid to question what you read,
Even if it comes from sources we trust.
even if it comes from sources you typically trust.
Wow. So it's like becoming a detective for the truth.
Kind of.
We need to be actively investigating the information we come across,
Exactly.
rather than just passively absorbing it.
Right. We have a responsibility to ourselves and to others to not contribute to the spread of misinformation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture for a minute.
Okay.
The source draws a fascinating comparison between life in 1980 and life today.
1980.
Yeah,
What?
highlighting how dramatically technology has reshaped our world in just a few decades.
That's a big shift.
I mean, it's almost hard to imagine a world without smartphones and the internet now.
I know.
Right.
Back then, communication was more deliberate.
Right.
We weren't constantly bombarded with notifications and updates.
Uh-huh.
People spent more time interacting face-to-face.
Oh,
Meals were more likely to be home-cooked, and entertainment options were far more limited.
Yeah.
It was a different pace of life altogether.
like the author's personal insights in this section are really eye-opening.
Really?
They talk about how things felt simpler back then.
Simpler.
Communication was more straightforward.
Yeah.
There were fewer choices to make,
Mm-hmm.
and people seemed more present in their interactions.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a certain nostalgia to it.
There is.
Right. But it also makes you wonder,
Yeah.
what have we gained and what have we lost in this transition to a more digitally driven world?
That's a big question.
It is.
Right.
Like, on one hand, we have all this incredible technology at our fingertips.
Oh, yeah.
We're more connected than ever. We have access to an unbelievable amount of information.
Mm-hmm.
We can do things that were unimaginable just a few decades ago.
Right.
But on the other hand, we're facing these new challenges.
Like,
Digital addiction, information overload,
yeah.
the decline of face-to-face interactions.
Right. It's a complex trade-off.
It is. The source doesn't shy away from the potential downsides of this technological revolution.
I mean.
And it makes you question whether we're truly living better lives.
Mm-hmm.
Or have we sacrificed something valuable along the way?
That is the question, isn't it?
It is. It's a big question and one that I think we'll continue to grapple with as we move further into this digital age.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that constant connection. It's what gets me. I feel like I'm always tethered to my phone,
Oh, yeah.
checking emails, Scrolling through social media,
Ew.
sometimes I catch myself reaching for it without even knowing why.
Right. It's like, that's the thing about digital addiction.
Uh-huh.
It can really creep up on you. It's
Yeah.
not always as obvious as other forms of addiction.
Right.
We see it in the anxiety around being disconnected, the fear of missing out, the constant need to check for updates. And it's not just limited to social media either.
Oh, really?
No online gaming streaming services.
Oh, wow.
Even news consumption can become problematic.
So the source also mentioned the physical impact too, right? Like eye strain, sleep problems, even changes in our brain chemistry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're constantly bombarding our senses with stimulation from screens.
Yeah.
And it takes a toll.
Yeah.
The blue light emitted from devices can interfere with our sleep.
Oh, yeah.
And the constant influx of information can lead to mental fatigue and difficulty focusing.
So it's not just about our mental well-being then.
No.
It's also about our physical health.
Absolutely. And this is where I think it becomes crucial to set boundaries with technology.
Okay.
Make conscious choices about, how and when you engage with devices.
So create tech-free zones.
Exactly. Create tech-free zones in your home. Prioritize real-world connections. Make sure you're getting enough sleep.
So it's about taking back control.
Yeah.
Being intentional with our technology use instead of letting it control us.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this brings us to another important point raised in the source.
Okay.
The increasing difficulty of discerning truth
The truth.
in the digital age.
Oh, yeah.
With so much information floating around and misinformation spreading like wildfire,
Right.
it's harder than ever to know what to believe.
The author's experience with using AI
Yeah.
for fact-checking really stuck with me. It seems like a powerful tool,
It is.
but it also highlights the limitations.
It does because, AI can be a valuable resource.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that even AI is created by humans and therefore can be susceptible to bias.
So we can't just blindly trust any single source, including AI.
Including AI. Exactly.
So how do we navigate this information overload? How do we become better truth detectives?
Well, I think it starts with critical thinking.
Okay.
Question your assumptions. Look for corroboration from multiple reputable sources. Be wary of anything that seems too sensational or emotionally charged.
Okay.
Remember, misinformation often spreads by appealing to our emotions.
Oh, right.
Fear, outrage, anger.
Yeah, so we need to engage our heads as well as our hearts.
Exactly.
When we're consuming information,
Yeah.
it's not just about what we feel, it's about what we can verify.
That's a great way to put it. And that's what makes this whole conversation so important. We're not just uncovering interesting facts.
Right.
We're developing a critical lens through which to view the world.
A critical lens.
It's about becoming more conscious, more aware, more empowered to make choices that align with our values and our well-being.
So it's about taking ownership of our lives.
Yes.
Both online and offline.
Exactly.
Well said. Okay, so now that we've unpacked all these hidden truths, what does this mean for us moving forward?
Yeah.
What can we do with this knowledge?
Well, that is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And it's one that each of us needs to answer for ourselves.
Yeah.
But I think this deep dive has given us a good starting point.
Okay.
We've become aware of the hidden forces that shape our daily lives, the influence of technology, the importance of mindful choices, the need for critical thinking in the digital age.
So it's like we've been given a map,
Kindas.
and now it's up to us to decide where we want to go.
Exactly. And speaking of maps, I think it's time we shifted our focus to something a bit more tangible.
Oh.
The spaces we inhabit and how they influence our lives. The spaces we inhabit and how they influence our lives.
Okay.
It's amazing how much we uncover
Yeah.
about ourselves and the world around us just by taking a closer look at the everyday.
It's true. We often move through life on autopilot, not realizing how much our habits, our surroundings, even the way we consume information, shape our experiences.
They really do.
Why?
But by bringing these hidden truths to light, we can start to make more conscious choices.
And that's what this whole deep dive has been about, right?
I think so.
Shining a light on those hidden forces, those subtle influences that we might not even be aware of.
Right.
So we can make decisions that lead to a healthier, happier, more fulfilling life.
Exactly. It's about empowerment through awareness.
Yeah.
And it's not about being perfect or having all the answers.
Right.
It's about being open to questioning, to exploring, to seeing things from different perspectives.
It's about being curious.
Yes.
Just like we encourage everyone to be on the deep dive. So as we wrap up our exploration of hidden truths, What's the one key takeaway you hope people walk away with today?
Oh, that's a great question.
Hmm.
I think if there's one thing I hope people remember,
Okay.
it's that even the most ordinary things can hold extraordinary secrets. Whether it's the way our phones are designed to keep us hooked, the hidden calories lurking in seemingly healthy foods, or the subtle ways misinformation spreads online.
Right.
There's always more than meets the eye.
Okay.
And by taking the time to look deeper, to question, to connect the dots, we can gain a much richer understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like we've been given a new set of lenses to see the world through.
Yes.
And suddenly everything looks a little bit different, a little bit more interesting, a little bit more full of possibility.
Exactly. And that sense of possibility is what I find so exciting. By uncovering these hidden truths, we're not just becoming more informed, we're becoming more empowered to shape our own lives and create a better future.
So keep exploring, keep questioning.
Yes.
Keep diving deep into those everyday mysteries.
Absolutely.
You never know what you might discover.
Oh.
And that's a wrap for today's Deep Dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.